All right, let's go back to that breaking news we told you just a few minutes ago. Live pictures right now. This is a scene on Old Pineville Road near Woodlawn Road. Firefighters taking a person off of the light rail on a stretcher that you might have seen just a few minutes ago live here on NBC Charlotte. We're told that this person has very minor injuries and that the person was perhaps, you see the person there on the stretcher being taken down. The person was hit by the light rail, but again, very minor injuries is what we're being told. Taken to the hospital just as a precaution at this point. We're going to keep our eye on the situation and see what it means for your morning commute and sort of the whole situation down there in that part of Southwest Charlotte. That's coming up in just a few minutes.
And breaking right now, we want to get straight to that news of several families out of their home after that apartment fire that we covered for you early this morning in North Charlotte. This all happening just after 4:30 on Prospect Drive, just off of Reagan Drive near I-85 and West Sugar Creek Road. A team of more than 50 firefighters called to the scene to battle those flames. We have a live team coverage right now of exactly what happened and reaction from people who live there. So let's kick things off with NBC Charlotte's Ashley Daly live on scene. Ashley, just incredible here. The fact that no one was hurt.
I want to go straight to the image of that burnt building. What you're looking at right now is the clubhouse in the leasing office. Fire officials tell me this fire broke out around 3 o'clock this morning. And if you look up, you can still see the smoke billowing from that area.
Right now at 5 a.m., we are following two big developing stories. Families heartbroken across the Carolinas after a fifth grader dies following a school fight.
Someone that young shouldn't have to go through whatever caused the fight.
We're live as questions remain on how something like this could happen inside a school. Plus, a look at the startling number of school fights here at home.
And demanding answers, protests across the city following a deadly officer-involved shooting, where the investigation now stands, and the steps Police Chief Kerr Putney is taking to connect with the community. Wake Up Charlotte at 5 a.m. starts right now. Absolute tragedy in South Carolina. Condolences pouring in this morning after this fifth grader you see right here died from injuries from a classroom fight of all things.
Renaya Wright, only 10 years old, sadly passing away Wednesday in Charleston. Investigators say the little girl was jumped by her classmates 2 days before inside her elementary school. Her death now under investigation this morning.
NBC Charlotte's Billie Jean Shaw live now in South Carolina this morning with more on Billie Jean. This is it's an incredibly sad story. Parents everywhere asking how something like this could happen and how it could happen inside of a school.
Good morning, Ben and Carolyn. And this is something all parents can relate to. You send your children to school expecting them to come back safe and sound. But in this case, little Renaya's mother did not have that opportunity. Now Renaya's classmates could possibly face charges. This morning, stunning news out of South Carolina, creating a nationwide discussion about school safety. This coming after an emotional post by a Colleton County mother saying her 10-year-old daughter, Renaya Wright, had gained her wings just 2 days after a brutal classroom fight. District officials are now wondering what went wrong.
It was a very, very devastating, unfortunate incident.
According to an incident report, Renaya, a fifth grader at Forest Hill Elementary, was involved in the fight with two of her classmates. Moments later, she was airlifted to a hospital for treatment. Renaya's mother posting this picture from her bedside saying, "This is what bullying causes." 48 hours later, Renaya was tragically pronounced dead.
Where are the adults? Where are the administrators when this is going on?
School officials suspending one student until the investigation is complete. Meanwhile, condolences are pouring in as Renaya's family and classmates try to make sense of a tragic loss.
Thank you, Billie Jean. A GoFundMe page now collecting money for the family of a teenager who died after contracting meningitis. We told you about this yesterday. 15-year-old Jaden Meisenheimer was a student at South Stanley High School who recently transferred from West Charlotte. He died after several days of feeling sick. The GoFundMe account was set up to help the family with funeral expenses. We do have a link to that page on our website, so visit WCNC.com.
Time now 5:05. Former FBI Director James Comey speaking out about Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation that established no criminal collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. Comey, who oversaw the beginning of Mueller's investigation, says he was right to start that investigation before his firing. He also commented on President Trump's statement in which the president said he decided to fire Comey because of the, quote, Russian thing.
I thought that's potentially obstruction of justice, and I hope somebody is going to look at that. Again, the president appears to be saying, I don't know what's in his head, which is why I can't reach the conclusion. What he appears to be saying is, I got rid of this guy to shut down an investigation that threatened me.
Comey went on to say that he's kind of confused about special counsel Robert Mueller's decision to neither charge nor exonerate President Trump.
Time now, 5:06. Here's a look at some of the other stories we're following for you in your morning rush. A former China Grove teacher now facing additional sex crime charges. Police arrested 28-year-old Brittany Howard. You see her right here. They did this last year, accused of having a sexual relationship with a student. But now police say that they have more video evidence that Howard was involved with another student. She was arrested again and now faces an additional 15 charges.
We now know the names of 2 people killed in a high-speed head-on crash in Lancaster County yesterday. Deputies say Tamiko Bristow and Tommy Fail died in the wreck on Cato Road. Deputies say one of the cars was going at least 77 miles an hour when it crossed the median and slammed into another car.
The man accused of killing a woman during the 2017 Charlottesville rally has now pleaded guilty to federal hate crimes. James Fields Jr. accused of driving his car into a crowd, killing one person and hurting dozens more. He could face life in prison, and he's scheduled to be sentenced on July 3rd.
We are working to learn what caused a car to slam into a local McDonald's. This happening yesterday on Old Sugar Creek Road. You see the impact there. One person sent to the hospital with serious injuries. 5:07 right now. This morning in Charlotte, protests and vigils continue days after the deadly police shooting at a Burger King on Beatties Ford Road in North Charlotte.
Police shot and killed Danquarius Franklin, saying Franklin was armed, and after he refused to drop a gun, they shot him. Demonstrators are protesting, saying Franklin was not armed.
NBC Charlotte's Ruby Durham now live for us this morning. And Ruby, I know CMPD's Chief Kurt Putney planning to talk to the community tonight. Do we know exactly what he plans to say?
Ben, good morning. Chief Kurt Putney is planning to talk about not the investigation itself, just because it's still an open investigation, but he does plan to try to bridge the gap between the community and police, since right there's a lot of negativity surrounding this case.
We ain't have their attention.
Students at the Northwest School of the Arts walking out of class, holding signs and singing songs in protest of Monday's deadly officer-involved shooting. The walkout coming on the heels of several vigils held outside the Beatties Ford Road Burger King, the site where Danquarius Franklin was killed.
All the cops do is bang, bang.
CMPD says Danquarius Franklin was armed and wouldn't put down his gun. The officer involved now on paid administrative leave. Some demonstrators want justice and information on whether the shooting was justified. City Council member Braxton Winston speaking out.
Regardless of how you feel about the event, right or wrong, justified or not, these things have real traumas that affect so many different parts of our community. We have to learn how to not just deal with them, but prevent those traumas from happening in the future.
Dozens of questions still unanswered, but the future is something other activists are trying to remain positive about.
The family needs support. The sad thing, there's 4 children that were affected. There's counseling that needs to take place. There's therapy that needs to take place. So we're here to offer that support to the family and the community tonight.
Chief Kurt Putney will be at the Friendship Missionary Baptist Church tonight from 6:30 to 8:30 to have that conversation with the community. Everyone is invited. I'm live this morning. Ruby Durham, NBC Charlotte.
Ruby, thanks, and please continue to follow the story as it develops right here on NBC Charlotte. When we're not on air, you can find the very latest updates inside the WCNC NBC Charlotte mobile app. Rachel, thanks. Someone in Wisconsin, perhaps hopefully a relative, is waking up very rich this morning after winning that massive Powerball jackpot. Last night's drawing, get this, worth $768 million.
I was already spending it in my mind.
Right? I know.
I did not buy my ticket in Wisconsin. The winning numbers, though, 16, 20, 37, 44, 62. And by the way, the Powerball was 12. The jackpot was the 3rd highest in U.S. history. The cash value is $465.5 million. What would you do with all that money?
It's time to start looking for cousins in Wisconsin.
I think I might have a long-lost one.
That's right. Keeping the roads safe, the new push by South Carolina lawmakers to prevent drunk driving.
And Chicago prosecutors continuing to defend their decision to drop all charges against Jussie Smollett. Why they say he's not getting special treatment.
And we now know what caused that Norwegian cruise ship to be stranded at sea. Find out what made those engines fail.
And as we go to break, March Madness. Yup. Are you ready? It continues tonight. with the kickoff of the Sweet 16. So take a look at the schedule. All the number 1 seeds are still in the tournament. Gonzaga and Virginia play tonight. Then tomorrow, our Carolina teams will take the court. Duke will play Virginia Tech. Carolina will take on Auburn.